the glories of Ganga. How Garuda had caught a snake, as he likes to do, and was flying away to wherever he wanted to enjoy his meal. And somehow the snake slipped from his grip as he was just over the Ganga river and fell into and emerged with and went straight to Vaikuntha. And Nandaraj, so it's high time that I go to the Ganga for bathing. And he was preparing with his friends, and Krishna came and said, Baba, where are you going? And he said, I'm going to the Ganga. Baba, that's so far. Oh, but it's so auspicious. Baba, there's no need. Ganga's here. I called her. She's here. You know, Manasi, that big lake that is just nearby on Govardhana, that's Ganga. Oh, it's Ganga? Oh, boy, you're telling something. No, come, you'll see. And they came to the banks of Manasi Ganga. And out from the water, Ganga appeared, riding on her, what is it? We call it a crocodile, but it's actually something a little different, sort of. Anyway, it's like a crocodile. And okay. Yes, Ganga's here. And they all enjoyed bathing in the Ganga. Manasi Ganga had another wonderful role in Krishna Lila, in bringing out the intimacy of Sri Radha and Krishna. And that leads us to Madhavendra Puri. So first let's hear the story. How the gopis led by Sri Radha used to go cross Manasi Ganga on their way from Vashana and other parts. And one day they were a bit late, and they came to the Manasi Ganga, which at the time is described as being very large. And they were looking around and how to cross. They needed to cross over. They couldn't go around this time. They needed to cross. And they saw there's a boatman. Okay, boatman, please take us across the Ganga, Manasi Ganga. And the boatman rose up and said, yes, I'll do that, but I must be paid. And they're carrying their yogurt and sweets and milk products. Yes, I'll take some of that. And he enjoys. All right, let's go. They get on the boat. And the boatman is rowing. And then he stops. They said, why are you stopping? He says, well, I'm still hungry. Give me some more. Oh, okay, here, have some more. All right, okay. And then he says, I've eaten too much. I have to lay down. And the gopis said, lay down. We'll lay you down. In the water we'll lay you down. Go. We paid you. All right. He keeps rowing. And then of course this is Krishna, by the way. You'll know that later on. But anyhow, by his power, the boat seems to be sinking. And so he tells the boats, it's too heavy. All of this milk products, it's too. We're not going to make it. You have to throw it out. Then, okay, and they throw all their milk pots into the Ganga, into the water, and then he rose again. No, it's still too heavy. All those heavy jewelry you're wearing, this is too much. You got to get rid of it. And they're getting a little, but they're nervous, so they take it and they throw it on. And he begins to row. It's still too heavy. Your clothing, it's so heavy. You better take it all off and you boatmen will throw you in the Ganga and then we'll be light enough. All right. He begins to row. But then, by his arrangement, the clouds darken just like out there. The wind picks up. The boat begins to rock. Which if you, how many of you have been in Mayapur for the boat festival? You see how at a certain point they begin to rock the boat. I'm on this and I look and I say, this is going to tip over. It's just, they rock it. They're so expert. They rock it back and forth. So the gopis are on this boat with the boatman, and the boat is rocking back and forth, and they're all thinking it's going to collapse, and they're holding and hugging on to each other, and Radha goes and hugs the boatman, and she... Oh, this is no boatman. Her feelings of love emerge, and she looks down, and what does she see tucked in the belt of the boatman? And the gopis are all looking, so you've changed. And she pulls out Krishna's flute. And that begins their boat pastime. For hours they enjoy on the boat. So that is today's Leela. But during the time of Madhavendra Puri, who is, we understand, to be in the line of Madhavacharya. Our sampradaya is the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya sampradaya. Now, we trace our line through Madhavendra Puri to Lakshmi Tirtha, and then to Sri Madhvacharya, and from Madhvacharya to Vyasadeva, to Narada, to Brahma. Now, Madhvacharya, even to this day, they worship Krishna. But they worship Krishna alone. Again, how many have been to Udupi? We were just in Udupi. So there's the Sri Krishna Mat, the extraordinary deity of Krishna, who was discovered by Madhavendra Puri in a lump of chandan, along with Balaram. Balaram has his temple also in Udupi, and I think Janardhan was there in that chandan. So in the Madhava Sampradaya, up until the time of Madhavendra, the emphasis was to serve Krishna in Dasya Ras, as a servant. That was the emphasis. But then comes Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri begins to manifest Madhurya Ras. He, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 4:197, his poem is quoted. Ai, ai, ai. We say that every day. Ai, ai, nanda tanuja kinkaram patita namam vishame bhavam buddho kripaya tavapada pankajastita duli sadashim vichintaya. So he also, ai dina dayardra nata he Mathuranata kadavaloksha Hridayam tadaloka katarang Daita bhramyati kim karom yaham. Translation. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? Madhavendra Puri is expressing the emotions of Sri Radha in separation. This begins Madhavendra Puri's ecstatic experience of Madhurya Ras, Vipralamba, is described as the root. Here it is actually described as the sprout, sometimes, of the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada's purport he says, describing this verse, thus devotional service in separation is central to this verse. Worship in separation is considered by the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya to be the topmost level of devotional service. So Madhavendra Puri, Prabhupada describes here, therefore Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya say that the ecstatic feelings experienced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his appearance came from Sri Madhavendra Puri through Ishvara Puri. So Madhavendra Puri, we know a few of his pastimes. Since we're running out of, we don't have any time. So much to say. But let's just quickly, Madhavendra Puri discovered Srinathji. Here we have Krishna and Balaram, and Krishna is in the form of Srinathji here, the lifter of Govardhana hill, who he discovered in that wonderful way by some other literature, the term pretext of a dream is used. We'll hear that later if we get time. I don't know, in Srinivasacharya. In the pretext of a dream, he gets to know that Gopal is there to be rescued. So we won't go into all, because there's so much could be said about Madhavendra Puri, but we'd like to speak a little bit about the other personalities. Let's fast forward to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and the appearance of Radharaman. In brief, Gopal Bhatta was the son of Venkata Bhatta, and met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a very young boy on his tour of South India. He wanted to go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Mahaprabhu said, no, stay. Serve your parents. The time will come. And when his parents left this world, he proceeded to Vrindavan. There in Vrindavan, he joined Rupa and Sanatan. I believe Raghunath must have been there also at that time. I'm not sure about Raghunath Bhatta, whether he had yet come. Jiva had not yet come. And Gopal Bhatta joined and lived the same way, living under the trees, totally absorbed in Krishna Smaranam. And again in a dream, as Gopal Bhatta was feeling being in that line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was feeling those ecstasies that Madhavendra Puri was feeling, that had transmitted, that had been coming down, that had been like a river flowing. Or you could say the sap, maybe the tree is a better analogy, the sap of the tree flowing upwards into the leaves and the branches. He was receiving the nourishment that Madhavendra Puri had delivered to Ishvara Puri and then to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who he got from. He was feeling that separation, and in a dream, Mahaprabhu, go to Nepal. I don't know if it was called Nepal then. And he did. And there he went to the banks of the Gandaki. and was bathing. He was going to bathe from the water of the Gandaki. He put his pot in and he lifted it up, and in the pot there were Shilas. And out of respect, he returned them to the river and again picked up his pot, and there were Shilas. And he returned them, and again he picked up his pot, and there were Shilas. He said, all right. All right, I get the point. I mean, my American. Yes, there were 12. So from that day, he began worshipping those Shilas. He used to carry them in little sacks on his neck. And he took up again his life in Vrindavan, living under the trees. And one day a wealthy merchant, a Shet, he came and he offered him beautiful cloth and ornaments. And of course, Gopal Bhatta, he received these, but then this was, I think, it was close to Nishinga Chaturdashi. But he began lamenting, what can I do with these? My Lord has a very simple form. He's just a stone. It's round. How can I dress him? He was thinking like this, that wouldn't it be so nice to be able to dress my Lord with these wonderful ornaments? And in this way he was thinking, and went to sleep. And in the morning, and he used to hang his, as he sleep, he would take the Shilas and he would hang them in a tree or a basket. And he went for his morning bath. And when he came back and he uncovered, there in his basket, there were 11 Shilas and one Krishna, Radharaman, had appeared out of the Damodar Shila. And that was on this day, the day after Nishinga Chaturdashi. So he began and established the worship of Radharaman. There's, recently, in the Govardhana retreat, we were hearing about Radharaman. And there was a discussion, well, where is Radha? We say Radharaman, but where is Radha? When you go there, you'll see that just by the side, there are some clothing and so, but there is Radha in the form of her name. Radha is there. So just like for us, in our Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Krishna is there, Radha is there, in name. So Gopal Bhatta continued to worship. Srinivasacharya was at this time just a young boy. At the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's taking of sannyas, one devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I was reading today, so I'm pretty sure it's Gangadhar was his name. He became so distraught on the acceptance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, Gauranga's acceptance of the order of sannyas. He simply was saying, Chaitanya, 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 Chaitanya. He was just chanting Chaitanya, Chaitanya, Chaitanya. He eventually became known as Chaitanya Das. And now I'm going to take shelter of my notes here. And when he went to Puri, Lord Chaitanya told him, soon your wife will give birth to a son named Srinivas. And through Srinivas, all the Bhakti Shastras of Rupa and Sanatan will be distributed. Now, Srinivas never saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When his father passed, he took shelter of the Vaishnavas, and they all proclaimed him to be the embodiment of Lord Chaitanya's love. Described that an embodiment of Gaura Shakti. He was instructed to, he went to Puri to study Bhagavat with Gadadhar Pandit because Mahaprabhu had already left. Nityananda was still there, but Gadadhar was there. He went to study Bhagavatam with Gadadhar. And by the time he got there, Mahaprabhu had left this world, and Gadadhar was simply in a state of total separation, weeping. The Bhagavatam that he had cherished, sharing with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day, was simply covered with his tears. It became illegible. And he told Srinivas, yes, I must teach you. But how can I do this with this manuscript, which is, I cannot even read it. We'll need to get another copy. And they sent word to, I believe, Narhari Sarkar, who was the close mentor of Srinivas, who said, yes, I have one. Someone must come and collect. So Gadadhar said, you go and collect. So Srinivas went, he collected the manuscript, and on his way back he thought, let me visit various places. He visited different devotees on his way. So he didn't exactly rush back. And when he got back, Gadadhar left this world. So again, I think there was a dream. And now go to Vrindavan and take shelter of Rupa and Sanatan. So before doing that, he went to Navadvip, he met with this one and that one and so on and so forth. And he took his time. And there's a lot of, we're out of time, so I'm going to skip all the details. You can read about it. Who the various wonderful personalities he met on his pilgrimage to Vrindavan. And as you might have guessed, when he got to Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami had left this world 4 months earlier. No, Sanatan had left the world 4 months earlier, and Rupa had left 3 days earlier. But there was Sri Jiva. And there was Gopal Bhatta. So he took shelter. He was he took his diksha from Gopal Bhatta and then took shelter of Sri Jiva to learn. And Sri Jiva gave him the title Acharya. So he became known as Srinivas Acharya. Now we could spend, and we don't have time, so I'll just go to one of the highlights of Srinivas Acharya's life. When they were dispatched, Srinivas it's described that after the Goswamis were like the first expansion of Mahaprabhu's Shakti. The second expansion was Srinivas, Narottam, and Shyamananda. And they were entrusted by Jiva to take the Grantha, the Bhakti Granth, the Shastras, and begin book distribution. They're the beginners. To begin the book distribution by carrying these to Bengal. So they are proceeding to Bengal with a retinue of, I think, 15 armed guards and several servants with this wonderful bullock cart with all the manuscripts wrapped nicely in and covered very, very carefully. And they proceed into the area of Birbhum, where there was a king named what was his name? Vish or something. Anyway. Virambir, yeah. Virambir. So Virambir was a devotee. He was a Vaishnava, but he was also a king, and he had a very good technique. He said, "Well, I'm going to build my kingdom. I'm going to employ dacoits," and they were ruthless. They would rob on the street. And he had some astrologers who would search the stars to see when there was something coming and where and so on. And this astrologist told me, there's a great treasure. There's a really great treasure arriving on the road very soon. And the dacoits see this procession with this cart, and it's all nicely wrapped, and there's 15 guards, and that's it. And they begin to follow, and they just, as soon as it enters into our area, that's where we'll get it. And so it proceeds, and they reach the area of Birbhum, and it's a nice night, and the guards are feeling a little tired. They've had a long walk. They're all asleep, and next morning they wake up, and it's gone. You can imagine the distress of Shyamananda, Narottam, and Srinivas. This was not, the internet age. This was, these were hand palm leaf manuscripts, meticulously copied from the originals in Vrindavan. What are they going to do? Srinivas says, I will stay. I will find them. And he does. And he gets to the kingdom of Virambir. He's with a Brahmin who befriends him, and he takes him to the palace of the king, who's hearing Bhagavatam on a daily basis from some pandit. The pandit's recitation of the Bhagavatam, however, is like many of those class, filled with a bit of speculation and mistakes. And Srinivas is sitting, and for days he listened, and he can't take it. He said, "Your recitation is full of fault. You don't follow Sridhar Swami, the commentator." And this reciter gets a bit offended. So, all right, and the king, he sees something in Srinivas. He says, "Oh, you speak." And when he speaks, everyone is astounded. He speaks for days. And finally the king asks him, "Who are you?" And he describes, "I am Srinivas. I've come from Vrindavan, but we're carrying these great treasures." Of course, when the king got the treasure from his bandits, and he opens it up. He said, well, what have I done? This is not what I thought. And he feels very remorseful. So when he hears this, he's immediately, he explains, I'm the one, I'm the culprit, please forgive me. He's forgiven. The Shastras are returned, and Srinivas initiates him. He returns to Bengal. Shamananda goes to Orissa. Narottam goes east back to Keturi, and Srinivas is in the western areas of Bengal, and they begin the preaching. They begin the Sankirtan movement. They begin the book distribution, not by copying, but by, I assume, yes, they must have been then started to be copied. These manuscripts would be copied, and the book distribution begins. Srinivas marries. He has children. He actually had 2 wives. One of them, and I'll end with this, is Hemalata Thakurani, who was one of those, there are not very many in our line, but she was one of the Vaishnavi Diksha Gurus, whatever, in our line. She initiated many men and women during that time. So we have so much to owe to all of these great souls. I hadn't time to Parameshwari Thakur, as you can read about him, and I'm forgetting. But we owe so much to these great souls who have connected us to the tree that was sprouted by Madhavendra Puri, carried forward by Ishvara Puri, into the trunk of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, into the branches of the Goswamis, and now into ISKCON, which Prabhupada says is a branch of the Chaitanya tree. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So we're out of time, and unless I think we have to end here. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Oh, one thing that I wanted to mention to the devotees who live here. You may have noticed that I moved the Bhagavatam from where it was onto the top of that bolster. This is because I was present in New York when someone put the Bhagavatam on the same level as Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada made a point. He said, no, the Bhagavatam should never be on the same level as someone sitting. So I don't know who does it, but it should always be kept higher than the seat. Yeah, it should always, if you're going to keep it there, then it must be higher than Srila Prabhupada's sitting place. Hare Krishna.